Hey folks, today is Monday, June 17th, 9:17 p.m. My name is James. Let's take a look and see what happened today and what might be coming this week. So the S&P is still kind of making a little flag. It's just consolidating. It's not very exciting to watch, but kind of just got sideways action going on, kind of what I was hoping to see actually. NASDAQ, same thing. Russell. It's not quite as defined, but it's still kind of just going sideways. And then just taking a look at the Dow, same kind of thing. The Dow actually looks a little bit more defined, but they're all just kind of doing the same thing. It popped up for a while and goes sideways. That's actually super good action. It's very boring to watch, but it is what we want to see. Before I go over there, let me just look at the futures real quick. You can see them right there. Kind of green. At 9 p.m. We should find out at 10 o'clock what's going on for real though. I did want to look real quick at the oscillator here. So it's just at a +9, basically neutral. It's not overbought, not oversold. We're just kind of hovering at this neutral. It's actually really good to be going sideways and having a neutral oscillator. That's actually really good. Okay, so Shopify, I drew this lower line here today and it did hold it. I don't like the fact that it's down at the lower line, but it's still just going sideways, just like a lot of other things, which is really good. MDB, I drew a little ascending triangle there. That may or may not be what it's doing. You can kind of see the upper lines forming and the ascending line. So there may be another entry right there. I mean, usually I wouldn't say try to enter on these smaller patterns, but something that's got a lot of momentum. And if this market kicks into gear all of a sudden, because possibly the Fed decision on Wednesday, or the anticipation of one where they might cut, or they just hint that they might cut in the future, might be enough to spawn the market to move higher. To me, it actually looks like this market's getting ready to go higher. It's just resting before it does, and especially right now, it's waiting for at least the Fed rate decision to figure out what it wants to do. I had pennant lines on here. It did close out of that. I took them off because, again, it's basically just sideways action. So trade desk looks good. ROKU still just kind of consolidating there. Looks good. Yandex broke out of there, and again, this is just looking like sideways action again, almost like a pennant. I don't have the lines there, but that's what it looks like to me. A little pennant forming. Still looks really good. KMX is climbing really high. I don't have a target on here, but the target is essentially the width of this flipped up from the top, and it's essentially touched it already. But a lot of times you don't want to just sell at a target because the stocks can just keep going basically. So yeah, it still looks really good. If it had a target, it's already gone through it, but it still looks good. It's still progressing higher. I mean, I wouldn't sell it here. It still looks really good. EPAM, this thing is basically done. I mean, it looked like it was going to keep going higher, but it just kind of rolled over. I'll be removing this. Actually, I'm going to move it down to this list and take it out of here because it's got no momentum. It's turned over. Doesn't look very good. Z-scaler, yeah, looks really good still. The entry was there. It's progressing higher. This is another one that's basically done. That was a very sudden move. I don't know if there was any news or anything to drive it lower. Yeah, it's done. If you were in that and holding on, because I thought it was actually going to continue to go higher and I had a target of 26, but it sure don't look like it's going to get there, I would just sell it at this point. If you didn't sell it today, it doesn't look like it's going to keep going, though we'll keep an eye on it, and this may turn into something else where it drops and then it begins to consolidate and begins to move higher from there. But yeah, I would sell it. Just if you got any profits, just take them out. Chipotle, if you entered there, you still look really good because it still hasn't broken this line. So the stop for me would be about $3. It's pretty expensive. I would usually put a smaller position with a larger stop on a really expensive stock. So if that's what you did, I would still have my stop in it hasn't broken that line, so it still looks good. It still looks like it might continue to go higher from there. Proficient actually continued higher, backed off a little, but still, that still looks pretty good. Etsy, here we go. So we broke here. I mentioned that even though this turned back down, it did not break the lower line. So my stop would still have been like $1.50 to $2 below that entry point. I never touched that, so I'd still be in it. It held the line again today. If the market gets going, Etsy would probably get going higher again, so I would just hang on to that. LULU looks fantastic. I think I mentioned it last week. Even though it broke down through this line, if it rebounded, it came back through, that's still a buying opportunity. So yeah, if you got in right there, that's about, well, it's approaching a $10 move at this point. Looks really good. Lots of momentum in the price. Looks really good. Match group, I adjusted the line today. It looks like it's still kind of forming out this triangle. Based on the way this is moving, I would almost want it to drop down one more time and then bounce back up. You may not get that, but it sure doesn't look like it's going to have a lot of momentum over that line. Unless the whole market decides to go, then I bet it would. So for now, it doesn't look like it will, but if things suddenly change and the market rallies, it might actually go. So I'm going to just keep adjusting the line because I think it's still forming the pattern. I don't think we have a clear point to say this is the line. Just got to keep adjusting. But it looks good still. I mean, it looks like it's going to try. Here's now. Never really came back to this level. It came close, but it never closed there. It never broke through. So that still looks like it has a chance to get higher. Funko added back in because of this little consolidation that's now happening right under that line. What is the level that I have on that? 2257 would be the breakout of Funko if it gets going. Here's Planet Fitness. It actually came all the way up to the line. I don't think it broke out. I don't think it broke it today or touched it because my alert still didn't go. But yeah, 81.76. If it breaks that point, I bet it will do it on momentum and keep going. Might need the market to go with it, but it looks good. It looks like it's going to try. Tandem, I thought that was going to be done today, but it actually closed back above the line. So this is still symmetrical. It could still break that line and keep falling. But it's built its way up into it, which is usually a bullish indicator. So that could still go. Give it a chance to bounce off that and maybe make its way higher, and it should go. INSEE, I just put this in there yesterday or on the weekend, and it finally got a nice jump up. It came right up to the line. Didn't break it yet, but sure looks like it wants to go. That was huge volume today. I'd love a pause of a few days under the line and then go, rather than, unless it gets tons of momentum and just blast through it. But yeah, that looks good. Pinterest, it did punch through the line today and came back, but we've got a high up here that looks like that's going to be resistance for it right now. So I would say just give it some time. Continue to give it time. It does look like it wants to go, and this pattern looks pretty valid because it's touched it there, touched it there, touched it there, and again here closed back below. So that's really the resistance point it's got to get through. Give it time. I bet it's going to go. PagerDuty did go through the line today, but couldn't hold it. So generally, like in a situation like that where it punches through and comes right back, I would bail out of it, especially if it looked like it was just going to keep sinking. Bail out of it as quick as you can, because winning stock shouldn't come back through the line, basically, or at least it's not ready to go. So I would have tried it and then probably just bailed out of it if it just looked like it was going to continue to sag, and then you wait and give it more time. But it sure shows that that line is valid because it's being resisted at that point. Columbia Sportswear, again, this is another one that tried to go and couldn't make it, but that line is definitely showing itself as resistance, so there's still some selling going on there. But again, I think in the next couple days we're going to get something, and probably the interest rate thing with the Federal Reserve on Wednesday, that's going to get the market going. I'm hoping it's not bad news that just stalls everything, but there's just too many things that look like they're setting up for a move higher here. Here's Chegg, which broke out here, came back and touched, but I don't believe that stop would have taken you out if you kept your stop about $1.50 to $2 below that point, and it's just consolidating sideways, and now there's another resistance there. So Chegg looks really good to try to go higher. Coupa, most of these are not new entries either. Some of them are. I wouldn't recommend trying to enter these small ones. You can, I mean, you could try it. It's just not something that I would want to do. I would rather get something that's nice and long, but sometimes you don't get that choice. So, but yeah, Coupa, again, that's another one that looks good because it's clearly breaking through these lines. There's lots of momentum building that stock higher. So this area is right around 124.55. Carvana, this is one I just found tonight. Look at that. I love when it pulls back and creates an ascending triangle. That's exactly what that is. That's right around 65, 64.80, 64.65, 64.82. Basically, 64.82 is the highest point there, but it's really close to 65. So yeah, that looks really good. Now this is another pattern that little bull flag. I usually wouldn't recommend buying something off of that. I like the longer term, but that thing has some momentum going and it could take it higher. DOX, this is an interesting one. I saw this one a couple times and I was like, well, look at that nice little pattern, but I'm kind of concerned about the amount of volume it gets. Some days it gets 1 million, other days it gets like 300,000, and I'm like, what? So yeah, anyway, it looks really, really good. That's a nice pattern. So the highest point there is 61.96, so 61.97 or something like that. But it looks like it could go higher. This guy's another one, Rapid 7. This is another one that could have really low volume on a given day, but if it gets moving, it should have pretty good volume. And the highest point there, what do I got here? Right up here, I think. 54.90, basically 55, right around 55, I think would be the best place to go. Just let it clear everything. And if the momentum keeps going, it should take it higher. That's a really nice base. So this is a nice long-term base. This is from March all the way to now. That's awesome. I may keep a close eye on that guy. And then this guy's Stone. Now this is a big drop, but this is a nice little base that looks like it might try to get through. And for Stone, I have it at 29.61. That might be one I might try. I like when they pull back and then they make a base, and you know that they've got some room there because there's a lot of selling that took place up there that might not be sitting up there anymore. And you got a resistance point that it's right there and a gap that wants to fill. And all the selling that took place up there isn't sitting over here. So yeah, that's the last one. And that's it. What is today? Monday? Next video will be tomorrow. See you then.